We are continuing our study in the Gospel of Matthew. In this larger study of the Gospel of Matthew, we come across numerous subsections, and one of them is the beatitudes. Now, because of the dominance of the King James Version on our understanding of Scripture, I'm going to read Matthew 5:3 first in the King James Version to kind of give us a familiar reading to this beatitude. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Now I'm going to look at one of the more modern translations, that is, ergo 20th century translation. This is from the Goodspeed translation, Matthew chapter 5 and verse 3. Blessed are those who feel their spiritual need, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to them. One of the besetting sins of the church is money. Money distorts our theology and our practice of the faith. In James 2, 1-4, we have an example of how theology is viewed through the lens of the importance of money and wealth, and how that in turn distorts our practice of the Christian faith. I offer no proof for the following statement. I just think it probably makes sense to say that every generation of the church has struggled with the issue of money and wealth. Money or wealth is toxic to the faith. Now, this is not to say money or wealth is by itself unchristian or evil in and of itself. You see, to call a material substance evil is to fall into the trap of dualism. Dualism is the belief that something is inherently evil in and of itself. You see, there are two equally wrong traps when it comes to money and wealth. One that makes money and wealth a great good, and one that makes money and wealth a great evil. We, when we come to money and wealth, must maintain a balanced approach between it as a great evil and as a great good. Think of it for a moment. If you make money and wealth a great evil, what follows? You elevate the poor. The poor take on special status because they are victims of a great evil. So as we read this beatitude about the poor, we can read it through that lens. Blessed are the poor. The poor, since they are so victimized by the social structures of this world, they are going to receive a special reception in God's kingdom one day. Now, notice I'm not saying that this is what is right. I am saying this is what happens when you make money and wealth a great evil. And so you cannot help but as a result of this, but to elevate the status of the poor. In history, the poor are often victims of those that are rich and powerful. The reality is that, though, is that we are all poor in the sight of God. And only the recognition of our poverty before God, of this, and the need to surrender ourselves to His will through His grace can amend and deal with this. If you and I make money a great good, what follows? When money and wealth are evil, we fall into the traps of dualism. When money and wealth are great goods, we fall into the trap of materialism. Materialism is the belief that only the material world, that which we see and experience, is the true reality. Money and wealth are toxic, for they pull us into a materialist worldview. In that house or car or those stocks and bonds, are they all that important? What this beatitude does is challenge the materialist to what is really important. The mistake is to believe that because I am in the church and a member of a faith community, that this will automatically happen. Nothing in the life of faith automatically happens. We must engage in working on these things. In North America, one of the great traps about money and wealth is that most of us do not see us as being rich. This is a true statement that is wrong. One of the traps of wealth is how it can be rationalized. You see, if I have $10 million in my bank account, I'm not wealthy because my neighbor has $100 million in his bank account. You see, I'm not rich. I may be well off, but I'm not doing as well as that person. The reality is, if we were to judge our standards of living and what we have by historical standards, most of us in North America are historically rich, historically wealthy, historically well off. Again, we are not castigating wealth or being rich, but in a sense being shrill and warning us not to fall into the trap of judging who we are and what we are by materialist standards. In this way, it is like any other bad habit. It will take work to overcome. It will take work to realize and see what counts is who and what we are before God Almighty.